Hey everybody, it's Lachelle, America's Supermom, and we are over the halfway mark, day 16 for us on our Good to Great 30. It has been a busy weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed yesterday's post, our halfway mark. It just really spoke to me. I was doing a lot of traveling, and sometimes you can get overwhelmed because you're not at home where you have your normal routine of how you do things. And I just heard that message from Hal Elrod, and I just thought, wow, that just really was impactful for me. And so I wanted to have an organic experience and share it with you guys. But today's theme is excellence. So I went to my 30-year reunion over the weekend, and I had a conversation with a classmate, Chris Mundy, and his wife. And I can't even remember her name, which is crazy because I've met so many different people. But let's say Miss Mundy, okay? She is not from the United States. She's from Brazil. And we just had a really good conversation about how English is her second language, and she is so motivated by learning. And she is currently in classes, and, the time and effort that it takes her to study is so much more expansive than what we consider because, English is her second language. It's not her native tongue. And so, it requires her to study longer, but she had received high marks. I think she got all hundreds on some testing or quizzes or something that she had recently. And it was just such a great conversation because a lot of times I think people mistake perfection for excellence. And I wanted to take a few minutes to kind of talk about that. So perfection is the idea that there are no errors, that life is, full of roses. You don't have any hardships. Everything you do the first time turns out okay. And excellence is being able to make a conscious choice to decide to do your very best and to strive for high marks. So we'll just use the school example. If it was not possible for you to get 100% on a project or a test or something, well, then why would that even be a criteria when we're doing the grades, the dynamic of the grades. So, you have a 90 to 100, which is an A, or 89 to 80, which is a B. Okay, so if the criteria was unachievable, it wouldn't even be listed as a possible option or outcome for a particular grade. So when we think about excellence, we think about using the opportunity that we have to learn, to practice, and to master a particular skill or information, whatever the case may be. So in the case of a test, for example, you are learning material that you do not know. So the process of learning is the process to strive for an excellent grade if that's what you truly desire. So if you want to get 100% on a test, it's going to take you going that extra mile to make sure that you can fully comprehend the material that you're going to be tested over so that you can get 100% on a test. So what does that look like? So when we're striving for excellence, in the case that we had with the discussion with Miss Mundy, is she has to go that extra mile. So maybe when somebody else can just study a couple hours, it might take her 4 or 6 hours. She has to be more clear about eliminating her distractions. So what does it mean to eliminate distractions? For somebody, it may be to go in a room that's quiet with no TV or telephone, or maybe even windows, just someplace that's quiet. For another person, it could be to leave their house completely and go into the library, or to a park, someplace to where their interaction with others is minimum so that they can focus on their task at hand. So when you're striving for excellence, it's important for you to recognize that there are things that you can do within your own control to kind of control your outcomes. If you don't know material for an exam, it's up to you to take the necessary measures to study so that you can have an understanding of that material when you're tested. So when we're striving for excellence, we begin to eliminate the excuses or the things that are holding us back from accomplishing our mission. It's there that we get coaches, we get mentors. If you look at Michael Phelps, who is the Olympic champion for swimming, he got coaches. He had to modify his routine during training time, and he had to change his schedule to do the things that would allow him to move further towards his goal rather than taking him away from his goal. So if you realize that you don't have the discipline to go to a party and get up at a time that you feel will give you the adequate time to study for something, it may be that you have to forego going to a party because you need to use that time to determine how you're going to react, or what behavior that you want to continue to participate in that's going to move you closer to towards your goals. Now, if you have the discipline to understand, I can go to a party, I can come home at the time that I establish regardless of what's going on, it may be different for you. But a lot of times we're talking about taking on these big, audacious goals, but we don't want to modify or change anything about our behavior, but we want the rewards. So I'm sure for Michael Phelps, he couldn't keep doing the same training he did when he was in high school, when he was training to be an Olympian champion. There's just no way he could keep doing the same thing. So it's the same thing in our lives. You can't just feel that you're older, you've had time on a job, you just feel you need to upgrade if you're not bringing the goods or the skill set to whatever it is that you're striving for. And so that whole journey from starting where you are and acquiring the skill set, that's the journey that goes through the transformation process. And it's up to us to really look inside ourselves and recognize, hey, you know what? I'm not good at discipline, or I'm not good at being consistent with the times or the amount of energy that I put into this work. So knowing your weaknesses, it's up to you to figure out how can I modify or change things every day so that I can overcome those weaknesses. How can I turn those weaknesses around so that I can make them stronger and a place to where they would serve me? So it's up to us to kind of have that inner reflection to figure out what that looks like. So when you're striving for excellence, it's not that it's not obtainable. There are just some things that you're going to learn about yourself along the way. You're going to learn what your weaknesses are. And you're going to learn that it's up to you to take a proactive approach in overcoming those weaknesses. Maybe it's going to require you to get someone that's a personal trainer that can train you on certain things. Maybe it's going to require you to volunteer somewhere so that you can learn some information in a different way. Somebody can teach it to you, and you can just learn as you are implementing things more so than just reading it in a book. So there's so many different things that we can kind of look to explore when it comes to striving for excellence. So excellence is obtainable. It is possible for you to get 100% on a test or exam, but it requires you to take massive action for yourself and figure out what that looks like for you. So I challenge you guys as you think about today, in your own lives, what is something that you can do that you can change it from good to excellent, okay? Or maybe from great to excellent. Just different things that you can do to really be truthful and ask yourself the question, what is stopping me from giving this my all or performing at an optimal level or making the best use of my time in order for me to achieve this goal? What are some things that I can work on and do to accomplish that? And so as you ask yourself the question, take baby steps. Maybe you need to incorporate 15 minutes before you go to bed to write out your schedule for the next day. Maybe it is lay your clothes out, and instead of just laying them out, maybe you need to iron them, or maybe you need to pack your bag, for after work, for different things that you could study and review on. Maybe you need to pack your lunch for work and use the time during your lunch hour to do something that's going to propel you forward at home when you get off work, so that your evening is a little bit more manageable. There's so many different ways that we can kind of implement this spirit of excellence in order to move us forward. So I hope that's been helpful for you guys. Congratulations for day 16, and I will talk to you tomorrow.